On this week's Spotlight Music Series, Charleston-based singer-songwriter Heather Rice is a bit of a rarity, having one of the few female-owned record labels. She's opened for acts like Lady Antebellum, Sheryl Crow, and American Idol's Lee DeWeese, and others. She joins us now. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
So how do you do that? I mean, how rare is it for a woman to own her own record label these days?
It's rare enough for it to be like a hashtag on Instagram.
Wow. There's not too many.
Yes, there's not too many out there, I don't think. But I'm new to it. I just formed essentially a publishing company called Red Lion Recording during the pandemic, because I built a home studio and I realized I could do a lot by myself.
Let's talk a bit more about your music. So how would you define your sound, where you get your inspiration?
That's a good question. So I'm classically trained, and then after school I ended up making a living as a jazz artist for a number of years. But I've always really loved country music and pop music. So everything came together. I've always loved Joan, and I play the piano. So she's been a huge influence. It's really from all over. I mean, I'm a huge Barbra Streisand fan and Celine Dion.
That's quite the mix. It's a very eclectic group of influences.
It is. Yeah, I hope you hear it all in my music.
But you know what? As an artist, you pull from what you like, right?
Yes.
And you know, I think any professional in their field, they do that. When you admire something, you want to emulate it. Now, you say that God speaks to all of us through music and great love. Tell us a little bit more about this.
Okay, so I firmly believe that with all of my heart, and I have a gospel album that I wrote all kinds of songs about that. So please check them out. Actually, Matchbox Home is on that gospel album. Oh, okay. And I just think that, you know, more often than not, what's really connecting us to God's source and spirit is music. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to anybody about music, you instantly are connected on this really beautiful, deep, and spiritual level. And so I find myself to be very lucky that I get to be in this business where I kind of get to live in that space with people. Did
you grow up in the church? Was that always an influence on your upbringing and your life?
Absolutely. So I was raised Catholic, and I've been like an assistant worship leader and music director for almost every denomination. For me, I don't care where church is personally. Church for me is wherever we're gathered and we're making music and praising. And so I'm very comfortable in a lot of different situations. And honestly, I feel God very closely at my concerts when I'm singing to people and even now as I'm talking about music.
Yeah, and you know, when people listen to music as well, it's palpable. So if you feel it, you know that they're feeling it as well.
Yes.
Let's talk about Matchbox Home.
Okay.
All right, so this was in the works for how long? How long did you work on this particular song?
So I wrote the song in 2014, and I was single at the time and just making some very questionable choices with my life. And I needed to kind of grow up. I needed to grow up.
As we all do.
Yes. And so that's what the song is about. It's about, you know, where is that space that you run to when everything falls apart for you?
So the video you used, I mean, it's beautiful.
Thank you.
And we love the subject matter, but the Airstream is pretty darn cool.
Right.
So how did you find this thing, and what was that experience like shooting there, and what did you want to evoke with that imagery?
So I found it because we were during the pandemic. It was summertime. My son was 3. This was last year. And my husband says, you really need a momcation. And I was like, I need a momcation. So he was like, why don't you go somewhere? And like, you know, I was like, yeah, I'm going to go somewhere and bring my camera and I'm going to shoot a music video, and that's going to be my momcation. And I got to be totally alone. So I looked for this place nearby that I could drive to in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. And I found this like cool vintage Airstream from 1974. and it's literally a time capsule. And so I found it on Airbnb.
That's amazing.
And I just drove there and I brought my camera and I was like, I don't know how to shoot a music video, but like, let's do it.
But you did it. You did it, and it turned out fabulous.
Thank you.
And we're going to see it after the break. Heather Rice, it's been such a pleasure to chat with you.
You too. Thank
Congratulations.
you so much.
Real quick, any upcoming shows? What you got?
Yes, so I'm doing a Joni Mitchell tribute on September 24th
Fantastic.
at Forte Jazz Lounge.
Love her music. Thank you so much, Heather.
Thank you.
Matchbox Home after the break.